middle, and a legacy. Thank you. Today, we're telling that story through the voices of our students and staff. These are real common stories, your stories.
It is such a cool feeling to be able to give back to a community that shaped who I am today and gave me a love for school and the desire to teach.
It's so much fun being back in the hallways, and I get to co-teach with teachers I had and calling them by their first name now, which was a weird adjustment, but it's been so fun to be back at Mason, and those are the walls that shaped me into who I am, and so it feels so exciting and such an honor to now get to do that for the next generation of Comets.
The night of our kindergarten music concert, having all my students just sitting in our room, we were just sitting around the carpet laughing, waiting for the concert to start, was definitely a moment where I was like, this is what I was made to do. This is what I'm supposed to be doing.
I got to be directly impacted by the legacy makers, and now I get to step into the role to help build the legacy for the future of Mason. I have talked about it to so many people. It's the coolest feeling, and it's truly an answered prayer and a huge blessing.
Our daughter, Ella, who's going to be a freshman, crazy. It was a week before her second birthday, and we were still in school at that point. So we had gone into June that year, and she was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. And of course, I'll never forget that day. Fortunately, and neither will my husband, of course, she doesn't remember any of it, which is a blessing. But when I think back to that moment and the amount of support from my team at the time, the families on our team, the students, Greg Sears was our principal at that time, and the staff, and just not having to worry really about anything for the last week of school and just being able to focus on my family, that made such an impact on me as an educator here, and to realize how important support is.
I love kids. I mean, I could have went anywhere else and made more, but it's not that. It's what you give back. And it's not the amount of money, it's the love. Kids that never forget that the rest of their life. It's a part of their memory.
I think I've learned that you got to take care of the hearts first. And sometimes that means what you have on the agenda and helping a kid through that and learning and answering their questions about academic stuff. But sometimes it's a lot more than that. It can be, kids who didn't sleep well the night before and they're just tired. It can be kids who didn't do their math homework, so they're freaking out and they just need like 10 minutes to do their math homework, so they're ready for the next bell and they just need it. It's, just looking at what they need coached up on, and doing the best you can to help them through whatever that is. My work prayer always is, let me be just what I need to be, exactly when I need to be it.
I feel like having that perspective from being a teacher in our building and just knowing the demands that requires, I feel like that enables me to do a better job in my position now that I'm able to help all of these amazing teachers. And I love doing that in the building and just making their job a little easier.
I think the biggest lesson that I've learned is that the little things throughout the day truly make a difference. Being able to hand somebody a pencil, being able to give a teacher a bathroom break, just the little things. It's not the grand things that I think make the biggest difference. It's the little consistent things throughout a school day.
Well, I find it hard to leave when every day I get to spend time in what I think is the most important thing in America, which is a very good, well-managed public school. So important that the citizens are educated, that they have great opportunities, that they're prepared for college, and I think we do a great job of that. I am not going to leave because what better place to spend the day, a place where kindness is cool, and you just have all kinds of adults and really people of all ages caring for one another.
Never know the importance of a moment until years later. It's about making connections. It's about just those little subtle moments that you never know what maybe the colleague needed, what the kid in your class needed. And it's always being open and listening to your students, to your colleagues, and just being receptive to help them out.
Stay positive, get involved. Don't be afraid to reach out to the older teachers, people that have been around for a long time. Learn from them and start a legacy of your own.
And at the heart of our journey is a vision for every student, every staff member, and every voice. And no one champions that better than our superintendent. Please welcome Dr. Jonathan Cooper.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you, Eric, for running the show. Thank you. Let's give Ben Brown, the voice of the comments, a huge hand. Ben Brown. I just want to take a second to share a little bit of my story. And yes, you got to sit through one more mountain story. This is probably year 11 for me here, and so you've probably heard about 11 different mountains along the way. Maybe not that many. But my daughter reminds me all the time, Dad, you always tell us, your story matters. So, you're going to get a little bit of the story. So let me talk a little bit about the journey today, and then we'll get to some more fun here. My wife asked me when I was going through this, because my wife is a very practical person, and she's very honest with me when I'm giving my presentation practice with my family. She said, Jonathan, how long are we going to be on this journey? I said, well, it's journey to 2030 and beyond. And she said, well, you're saying you're just starting the journey. Where have you been? I said, well, that's a good idea. I should probably talk about where we've been. So let's just review quickly where we've been on this journey. In 2020, we secured funding so that we could take a journey that was basic quality. If you remember 2020, we secured with our community the finances to move forward on our journey. And then in 2020, we had a little bit of hiccup in our world. You remember that? That was a moment that we'll never forget. And then we started working together to make sure that we had a solid foundation. We had everything inside our backpack that we needed. We started to talk clearly about our values, clearly about our 3 rocks and foundation, clearly about our vision and where we want to go in the future, clearly about our mission and what we're doing day to day. That's what we've been doing, setting up the journey. And this year's whole theme is launching the journey. So here's where we're going. So we've packed, we've got ready, we're ready for the journey. When you come to the beginning of the journey, sometimes, like this picture, it's dark. You know what you signed up for. You signed up for a professional learning pathway, but you're not really sure where it's going to go. This is the beginning of the journey I took this year with my son. This is the beginning of rear stack. Some of you have climbed that 14,000-foot mountain, but we get up at 2:30 in the morning. We show up right here. This is what we see at 2:30 in the morning. And we see a sign. We don't see the mountain. We don't see the inspirational views. We just see the sign. So we know we're going somewhere. We have an idea in our mind. And then the sun starts to come up a little bit. And as you can see this little dot right here? That little dot is a flashlight. Someone's ahead of us on the journey. And that's how it looks on our journey. Sometimes people are a little bit ahead of us, and that's good. Because the people on the journey is what's all about. And then the sun comes up a little bit more. As we walk further in our journey, we get closer to that 2030 mark, things become more and more clear to us. And so you start to see the shape. You start to see the snow patches. You start to see the lakes. In our journey, you start to see where we're going. What learning is going to help us in our classrooms. What's going to help us stay relevant in a world that's totally dominated by artificial intelligence. Think about that. How do we stay relevant as teachers and staff and institute schools in a world of artificial intelligence? That's why it's so important for us to be on this journey together, because the people matter. As we go further into the journey, the sun comes up more, there's more light shown. We start to see formations better. We even start to see the pathway. We might even see a partner on the pathway. That's Wyatt. Wyatt is my partner on this pathway. You can see where he was. Before it was just a light and dark. As we go through our journey, we're going to see more. We're going to see more people. We're going to build deep relationships. And as we move further on the journey, there might even be a delight from time to time. These are some mountain goats that came up to say hi to us. This was around breakfast time for us. Mountain goats started showing up. Just like when we're going through our professional learning journey, we start to learn new things, and there's some delights along the way, things we did not expect. Sometimes when we build those relationships with people, we start to realize more and more about ourselves. Relationships bring things out of us, things that are sometimes good, sometimes not. But it brings things out and we start to learn more about our own selves. As we move through that journey, we see these things called cairns. We talked about cairns before. Cairns are wayfinding marks. When I was walking this year on our mountain climbing, I was thinking about these cairns a lot because they're built by the humans on the journey. Everyone adds a rock as they pass by. And as you go through your professional journey, whether you're in your 30th year, your 20th year, your 10th year, you're just laying rocks along that journey, showing people the way. You're passing on knowledge that's important, whether you're in a first grade classroom and saying, this is how we do things, or you're in a high school saying, this is how we navigate with freshmen. As you go through this journey, you might make it to the top of a learning moment, a pathway, you're like, yes, we made it to this moment. We finally broke the code. I finally understand how to use that ChatGPT thing. Or I finally learned how to use magic school. Or I finally broke through a relationship with some of the kids on my bus. And I finally won that parent over that's been so difficult. You have that moment of celebration. Then every once in a while, you come across something scary on the journey. You know, we got up to the 14,000 foot mark of Grace and Glory. I turned around and there was this fox. And this fox looked hungry. It looked like it could jump on me and take me out. It was one of those foxes that looked like it was hungry and sometimes in the journey, you have those moments and they're a little scary. So you thought we were cheering, but now we're screaming. You might have those moments on the journey. I don't like this. I don't like where AI is going. It's going too fast. That's okay, because you're not alone. We're together on the journey. We have a vision where we're going. Even once you accomplish something great, you still have a journey to go. You still might have scary moments to go. We're going to get back down off the mountain. And we're going to get back down there and walk down this crazy little pathway here. But that's part of the journey. We have to make it down. So together, we encourage each other as we move forward. We transfer that knowledge into our classrooms, into our world. And we get excited and we can point back and say, look what I did. Look where we've been. If you go back to 2020, look what we've been through together. This is heading into my 11th year. Think about our journey up to this point. We have done some amazing things. We have set ourselves up to be a place where kids want to come across the country. When we did our opening staff hiring day, we had lines out the door for people to come and learn more about Mason City Schools. We have our largest incoming new staff orientation that we've had in our entire time here. It is amazing, the amazing all-stars that we brought in this year. We're so excited to welcome them to our family. And once you get down the pathway, once this light is shown, you start to look back and say, look what we've done. Look what we can see now along the way. A couple of reminders on the journey. So that's a quick story of how the journey goes. I'll call that the journey story. You might wonder, like, well, why do we have blue shirts this year? Well, part of the reason we have blue shirts is because when you look at the little comet that flies through our logo, the comet trail, the comet pathway is blue. And we are tracking that blue pathway. So we wanted to indicate that in a very symbolic way as we move forward. Some reminders. Number one. The power of the journey of the people. It's you, it's your family and loved ones. That's how we're successful on the journey. It's all about the people. The people help us to move forward on our journey. If you look at this picture on the right here, that's a picture of Miles right there, and it's his brother Wyatt. If you look ahead, all the way up at the front, that's Beth, that's my sister-in-law. Sometimes along our journey, we play different roles. Sometimes we're pace setters, like we're out there saying, come on, I got this, come on, check this out. We want to do this, and you're early adopters. We have those folks in here, that's great, we need all that. Sometimes you're in the middle, you're just enjoying the journey. That's Steve and Ruben, they're just enjoying the journey. They're talking about his basketball, he's an AAU player. They're just enjoying the journey. They're just having fun. They build that camaraderie on the journey. And then you have Wyatt, who says, you know what, Miles needs someone to help him along. He has a hard time picking up the skill and help him out. So sometimes your role is to reach back and help that staff member to get there. That's your role. And in a minute, I'm going to ask you to write down a word of intention this year. And that word of intention is going to be what you're going to carry with you this year. You might be that helper. You might be that encourager. You might be sometimes someone that says, hey, I need help. I'm going to be vulnerable and say, I'm going to put my hand out and say, I need help getting up this pathway. And that's okay too. We're all on this journey. I remember back to when I was a first-year teacher. I was right there back saying, hey everybody, my mentor, help me out. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm scared to death to go in the classroom. My first classroom, I was a fourth grade teacher. I was like, whoo. But it worked out, and they brought me along, and I had great support. Here's what I also want to remind you of on the journey. Sometimes it doesn't go to plan, okay? So you can see this picture. This is a moment where things didn't go well. As you can see in my face, I'm pointing my finger. You can see the direction that we're looking here. The test is on the right side. I don't know what the conversation is about, but it's definitely not a moment that maybe you're like, oh yeah, it's just a moment to celebrate. But at the end of the day, it is. I want to remind you that there are going to be times on the journey because we're people where there's going to be conflict, there's going to be hard times that we got to work through together. That's part of the journey. We're humans. Here's what I think was going on here. Our oldest is looking over across here, having me pointing at test and saying, finally, justice. If you're a person where you probably have felt that before, finally, justice. She gets everything. This guy right here, he's our second, that's why he's a second. He just said, you know what? If I stand still enough, they may not even see me here, and I will avoid this scream. He's a smart one, that second one. Third one here, he's sitting in, just to clarify, I'm 9 years old this time? That's Miles. He sometimes causes a little bit of, disruption every once in a while. And then finally, our fourth, the brave and bold Tessa, she says, bring. I was born for this moment. So she's taking on the whole crew. All of us will have those moments along the journey, and that's okay. We want to celebrate those moments as well and learn a lot. Last thing I want to remind you is the people on the journey come with all kinds of different experiences. Some people super excited. They're like, hey, I'm ready to go. Sometimes you have people on your journey that are like, why is it crazy? What? We're going to do a new routing system? I'm not sure what your thing is, but you have those moments too when you're learning, and that's okay. Sometimes you just have to know if this is a sin, or if this is like I'm going to take you on, and I'm going to defend my part of the journey, but it could be that as well. And then sometimes you just have uncomfortable moments on the journey. Henry doesn't like anybody touching him, so we got things to get through this. But at the end of the day, I will tell you, I can't imagine being anywhere else but here. This is an amazing place, and if you've been here for any amount of time, you know that just as well as I do. People here care deeply. We work through hard things together. We stand up for what we believe. We move forward on journeys that are worthwhile. We inspire people all around the country that want to come and see what we're doing. And at the end of the day, we care for people deeply, and we care for people in this room. We care for our students that we're going to be welcoming this week and their families. And for that, I appreciate you, and we want to celebrate that. All right, here's what you're going to do next. Each of you has a very unique gift that you bring. Lots of gifts. You know our foundation. Our foundation is clear. We're really clear about our patriarchs, really clear about our values. Here's what you're going to do today. You're going to be recording on your card something really important, and it's a word of intention. So I'll share with you what I recorded. I wrote down the power the other day because I thought, you know, I'm going to empower people on this journey. I got home, I talked to my wife, who is my truth teller, and I said, I wrote down empower. She goes, that's a cool word. Really cool word. But what's underneath? What is it going to take for you to truly empower people? So we talked a little bit, she gave me some good help feedback. And so my word is trust. I'm going to trust the process, trust the people, be vulnerable, open up and say, this journey is all of our journey. I trust us to move forward, I trust you to move forward, and I trust the process. What's on your card will be accelerators to our journey. If our foundation is not changed, it's solid, then these words are accelerators toward our vision. Empowering, whatever that is for you, trusting, encouraging, accelerators that move us forward towards each and every comment that's got a purpose and potential. Right now, you're going to take a couple minutes, and then we're going to be moving outside. And when we go outside, after we have a performance here, we are going to hold these up once we get onto the field. And my son, the one that was on my journey, he's going to be our drone artist, so be patient with him. He's our drone artist. He's going to take a picture of our staff, showing the accelerator, the gifts that we're bringing this year with intention to move us forward on this journey. All right, so take a second right now, and a word of intention. And if you don't know it today, it's okay. You can change it like I did. And as we reflect on the stories we've heard, left the root center and the strength for carrying forward. It's time to lift our voices in harmony. Please welcome Notorious Mason High School's incredible music director, and making sure we never stop believing in our journey.
What's up, Mason High Schools? We are Notorious. If you know this song, get up and sing with us. Your help.
Just a small town girl, living in a lonely world. She took the midnight train going anywhere. Just a city boy, born and raised in South Detroit. He took the midnight train going anywhere. Cheap perfume for a smiling, driven night. It goes on and on and on and on. Strangers waiting, walking down the boulevard, their shadows searching in the night. Street lights, people living just to find emotion, hiding somewhere in the night. Don't stop believing. Hold on to the feeling. Street lights, people. Don't stop believing. Hold on to the
Together, our voices around us, our impact multiplies. journey.